How tragic that the rainbow nation that prides itself on fighting racism will be fighting pro bono for anti-Jewish racists. We have no doubt that after the Jewish state brings to justice the perpetrators of the bloodiest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, history will judge South Africa for abetting the modern heirs of the Nazis.
Israel has accused South Africa of being complicit with Hamas' campaign of genocide against Israel. They are assuring South African leaders that history will judge them. Israel government spokesperson has revealed that Israel will appear at ICJ, where South Africa has filed a case accusing Israel of genocidal acts. I want us to watch this video. I will be back.
Condemns South Africa's decision to play advocate for the devil and make itself criminally complicit with the perpetrators of the October 7 massacre. On October 7, South Africa openly aligned itself with the Hamas rapist regime when it blamed Israel for Hamas's violation of the ceasefire and covered up Hamas's crimes against humanity. It is now aiding and abetting that machinery of genocide. Collaborating with the perpetrators of genocide is, alas, not new to South Africa, which backed Omar al-Bashir after he was indicted for genocide in Darfur. While the Hamas rapist regime does everything to maximize civilian casualties with its despicable human shield strategy, Israel is employing measures unprecedented in the history of warfare to minimize civilian casualties. We have been clear in word and in deed that we are targeting the October 7 monsters and are innovating ways to uphold international law, including the principles of proportionality, precaution, and distinction, in the context of a counter-terror battlefield no army has faced before. That is why we spent weeks urging residents of northern Gaza to evacuate before the ground offensive. To warn civilians, we placed over 70,000 phone calls, sent 13 million text messages, left 14 million voice messages, and dropped nearly 7 million leaflets, urging civilians to evacuate temporarily for their safety, informing them about humanitarian pauses and precise evacuation routes. That is why we secured humanitarian corridors for civilians to escape Hamas. That is why we set up a helpline for Palestinian civilians to tell our army if Hamas was stopping them fleeing. And that is why we designated a humanitarian zone in one of the only places in Gaza where Hamas was not already hiding behind civilians. The Hamas rapist regime bears full moral responsibility for all casualties in this war that it launched on October 7 and is waging from inside and underneath hospitals, schools, mosques, homes, and UN facilities. In giving political and legal cover to the October 7 massacre and the Hamas human shield strategy, South Africa has made itself criminally complicit with Hamas's campaign of genocide against our people. It shares culpability for the tragic loss of human life. The State of Israel will appear before the International Court of Justice at The Hague to dispel South Africa's absurd blood libel. How tragic that the rainbow nation that prides itself on fighting racism will be fighting pro bono for anti-Jewish racists. We have no doubt that after the Jewish state brings to justice the perpetrators of the bloodiest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, history will judge South Africa for abetting the modern heirs of the Nazis. We assure South Africa's leaders, history will judge you, and it will judge you without mercy.
Yeah, he said that's the Israel government spokesperson, and he said history will judge South Africa without mercy. So if you are talking of how history will really judge a country, then I think history has really judged Israel, because those who don't know why South Africa has been very hard on Israel is during the apartheid regime in South Africa. When South Africa was under apartheid, Israel were supporting the apartheid regime with weapons to oppress the black South Africans, which is, so if you are talking of who history should judge, then I think history has really judged Israel. South Africa has been hard because they have once experienced what Palestinians are experiencing now. This Israel and Palestinian conflict has been around for a very long time. Most of us didn't know much about this conflict. It was all about Israel because as a Christian, we have been programmed to believe Israel is the chosen country where God lives. Majority of our Christian fathers, pastors, go to Jerusalem and touched walls. We pray in our churches, praying for the Israel God. So we didn't know much. Everything which was happening there, we were in support of Israel. We used to sing about Israel. We used to do a whole lot of things which was influenced by how we were trained, or we were, how should I put it? We were indoctrinated to believe. So we were in support. But this time around, the social media didn't do justice for what is happening in Gaza. Yes, I heard there was an attack on October 7th against Israel, but what we have seen so far coming from Gaza is not something that is pleasant to the eye. So South Africans has been, especially the government of South Africa, has been very hard on Israel, because if a country once supported an apartheid to oppress a certain race, then it means that country is particularly enjoy oppressing other race or oppressing other people. Because if they ever supported the apartheid regime in South Africa, then they enjoy oppressing people in their land. That is where all this South Africa, Israel banter, South Africa has been issuing, the government of South Africa has been issuing a lot of statements concerning what is happening in Gaza. And yes, I've told you, I used to be on the side of Israel when I was young, when I didn't know much about what is happening. But after what we saw, after what I have witnessed, myself is not something that is pleasant to the eye. For now that South Africa has filed a case accusing them of genocide at the ICJ, we don't have much to say than for them to go and prove themselves to the world that indeed what they were doing was not genocide. Because UN has issued statements of genocidal acts. A majority of the world country has campaigned for ceasefire. It's only few countries like US and I think UK, or I don't know, who are in support of Israel. But that one, we understand why so. So it's about that time. They shouldn't talk much. They shouldn't be calling people names, and they shouldn't be saying history will judge you and it will, my history will not judge anybody. So It's about time they go and prove themselves that if indeed what they were doing at Gaza is not genocide. We live to see the outcome. We live to see the outcome. Please, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. I'll also leave a Telegram group in the description box. So if you want to join our Telegram group, I'll be pleased to welcome you. Thanks for watching.